What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital, coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is February 15th, 2022. What a nice day in the markets. S&P 500 finished up 1.61%. Really nice outing for the SPOOs. Volatility declined as well. Before we dive into all of this analysis and my trades for today, quick disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. Last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades or anyone's trades for that matter. All right, so SPOOs did great. We closed very close to the top end of today's range. Nasdaq QQQ was up 2.49%. Small caps up 2.68%. Dogs of the Dow, of course, lagging for the most part to the upside and the downside. And the ARK Innovation ETF finished up a whopping 5.45%. Volatility got absolutely crushed in all of these indices, and we had a combination of two narratives or two stories that were really dominating the market today. So the first was, over the last 2 days, we had all these worries about Russia and Ukraine. Russia's going to come invade the United States. What are we going to do? And overnight, I was looking at the market a little bit last night, and looking, futures are basically flat. And I wake up this morning early and I'm like, what just happened? And we had a huge gap up on our hands. So it turned out apparently everyone is no longer concerned about Russia invading Ukraine. Just kidding. Our administration is kind of like exaggerating what's going on. That seems to be like the narrative that I'm picking up, but who really knows what's actually going on? But bottom line, everyone was super worried that there was going to be this invasion, geopolitical event, World War III, and everyone had just been panicking about high inflation. So we got like a double whammy of negative catalysts, and one of those catalysts was lifted. Of course, we did get PPI data, which is Purchasing Price Index. That's inflation data. That actually came out a bit hotter than expected. And I know there were a lot of people out there that were saying, why didn't the market go down? The inflation data came out hot. And the market just went down on hot inflation data, this red candle right here. So if everyone is already aware of something and they've already sold because of it, then if you just get another confirmation of the same exact information that everyone already knows, you're not really going to get that much of a violent effect. All right, my trend model flipped to a +3 as of the close today, which is great. And of course, we've been tracking this dark pool activity, and that has been on a buy signal since January 26th back here. And the dark index, a lot of people have been saying, like, this thing doesn't even work. What's going on? And, the dark index can't predict a Russia invasion or geopolitical headlines, nothing like that. But it is good to know that both components of my process, they are firing in tandem together. The other thing that's noteworthy when we're looking at these indices, the last time that we gapped above the 20-day moving average, or not gapped up above it, excuse me, the last time we closed above it, we ended up having a really nice gap higher the following day. And you'll be able to see that better on the SPY chart. So take a look right here. We had this close above the 20-day, and then we just had that violent move to the upside right before the inflation data came. Now we had to close above the 20-day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. My best guess, and I posted this earlier for members, is tomorrow is like D-Day, where potentially that Russian invasion could happen. If nothing happens, I would imagine the path of least resistance is higher in the market, because there are a lot of market participants that are still hedged for further downside. Check this out. The VIX had a huge red candle, but it is still elevated at 25.7. So if nothing bad happens to Russia, could we go all the way back down to like 23 or even 20? It's possible, especially considering the fact that investors on this Russia news, they have really been loading up on put options. And it's a tough situation if you're a fund manager, because listen to this. So, let me just go to this other chart. So if we get news of a Russian potential invasion, blah, 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 geopolitical risk, and you are a big fund manager and you manage billions in AUM, if you don't hedge your portfolio knowing that information, and then something happens and you take a loss, your job is going to be on the line. So I just know whenever we get risks like that manifest, even if they're not likely, I know that most of Wall Street is going to buy hedges because they have to do it to protect their careers. So we had a little bit of like an arbitrage on the fact that these guys, they just have to hedge. So everyone went out and bought puts. When we got some relief on that catalyst, the market ended up resolving to the upside. So nice move for the S&P 500. What I noticed is the vast majority of the move came in the overnight market, right? And then throughout the session, we were just chopping around. Look at this. We're trading just below this weekly value area. And I think if there's no Russian invasion tomorrow, knock on wood, you never know, maybe it happens and this thing just plummets and the bottom falls out. But if it doesn't, I think a realistic target would be this weekly points of control at 44.92.25. And that would pretty much bring us right back to where we were before this Russia catalyst came into play. So definitely keep watching that level for tomorrow's session. Let's take a look at our Nasdaq. Nasdaq finished up 2.31%, still not quite above the 20-day moving average. The other big catalyst that we have coming up is we have Nvidia earnings that are coming out. I believe it's tomorrow after the market close. So if Nvidia reports a great earnings report, I think it's likely that into options expiration, the Nasdaq ends up moving above that 20-day simple moving average. If they whiff their earnings report, it's likely that we're going to plummet into the abyss. So again, binary events are ruling this market. Russell 2000, we had mentioned over the past couple of days, the relative strength of Russell was showing. And sure enough, these small caps up over 2.5%. Very nice move. We're above this monthly point of control and the 20-day simple moving average. And then of course the Dow Jones. It's almost like a low beta index. It lags to the upside and lags to the downside. Now it's trading above that 20-day simple moving average. All right, let's take a look at our Finvis Heat Map. Good performances. Let me switch this, swap this. There we go. So look at this. Nvidia was up 9.18%, folks. Tesla was up 5.33%. Apple up big. Disney, Netflix. I saw a lot of call activity going up for Disney. Let's actually take a look at that one. We'll take a look at a few of these stocks. Let's see. Disney, yeah, nice move for Disney. Reported earnings, and now we're pretty much right back to the scene of the crime, almost where we gapped up a few days ago. Yeah, definitely seeing that call activity coming in hot and heavy. Nvidia up over 9%. It's crazy. We had a 9% move, but we're still not even through value. And we have this 50-day moving average up above us. Let's take a look at our sectors and style factors. And let me switch this yet again. Okay, so sectors. Wow, cannabis is in our top slot. The MSOS cannabis ETF finished up 1.94%. KWEB, the Chinese internet ETF, was up 4.22%. I do have a position in this ETF. And you can see XLE was one of our worst performers. I had a short position in the XLE and I closed that out via some put options. Made small money on it, basically a scratch, and I just took it off. I was like, you know what? Who cares? I do not want to be short energy anymore. Now that we have this gap down, energy, some dip buyers definitely came into the rescue. One big headline that came out, it was saying there's basically, I forget the actual semantics of what's going to go on, but essentially there might be some sort of tax credit for fuel. So when customers go to the pump, they might not have to pay the sales tax on their gasoline. It's almost like a little subsidy that makes gas prices a bit cheaper. Take a look at this. We had, in terms of sectors, blockchain ETF was up 5.13%. The ARK Innovation ETF up big. So all of the most risk-on areas of the market zoomed to the upside. Style factors. Check this out. High beta was up 2.84%. Momentum was up 2.34%. So that's just a very risk-on configuration we have going on there. Let's take a look at my trades for today. We're going to go through these pretty quickly. So I want to keep these videos a little bit tighter. So let's see, we have that. Let's take a look at my trades. This was a very good trading day for me. So options trades, I came into the day long SPY call. So I was super pumped about that. Whenever we get a big gap up, it's always a great time to just sell into the strength, because trying to buy the gap up is very difficult. I sold out my SPY calls for 801. I paid 612. Then I day traded some SPY calls when we had a nice dip in the market. Bought those calls back. I actually bought the 444 calls for 453. Closed out half for 470. Then closed out the other half for $5. So for me, that was a nice little day trade. I was like, sweet. Did that in maybe like 24 minutes. Then I got long these Apple March 18th 175 calls for $3.30. Those very quickly moved and went up to 375 within an hour. And I took a target on it. I took off a fourth of the position, closed out my XLE puts for a small winner, closed out my GLBE short puts for a nice winner as well. I had sold some puts for $2.06. I bought them back for 94 cents. And then as we started approaching the bell, I started to realize what I just told you earlier. Hey, if there's no Russian invasion, the market's probably going to move up higher, where it looks like we're going to close above the 20-day simple moving average. So I added to my Apple calls for 389. So I sized into those, and the Apple chart just looks like a thing of beauty. Took a long position in Bros common stock. This was a name on our weekend watch list for 52.72. Had a tight stop on it. Took a target on that for 53.48. Added Snapchat as well. I closed out a small piece of my Roblox common shares for 73.10. I'd paid $68.10. Said goal is to hold into earnings, but couldn't resist taking a small target. And I must say, I am glad that I did take that small target. I wanted to put this on into earnings, and I had about a 7% gain in this stock, and I didn't even have to hold it through earnings. So I did take a small target. Roblox is gapping down in the after hours. So for whatever reason, I took a look at the earnings report. I think it looked pretty decent, but this one is gapping down. Not really the best reaction. So I'll probably listen in on the earnings call, because I do actually just like the company Roblox. It's a really interesting company. I really like the CEO as well. So I'll probably listen in. Their earnings calls tomorrow at, I believe, 8:30. And I'll likely take this position off for a loss, which is okay. Today was a really good trading day for me. And yeah, I had a feeling. So headed into this earnings season, I was like, some of these growth stocks are so beaten down. I feel like the downside's pretty limited, but the upside could be crazy. So that's why I put this Roblox position on. I just want to likely take it off for maybe like a 6% loss, something like that. But take a look at what Upstart did. This is sort of like the potential. When these names are just so beaten down, you can get things like this. Upstart went all the way up to almost $150 in the after hours. This one looks great. This could form a nice power earnings gap setup into tomorrow's session. So yeah, we're looking pretty good for Upstart. Airbnb also reported they had pretty decent results as well. Look at that. Airbnb up at 180.17, and after hours they're trading all the way up at 187.9. So pretty nice reaction. So yeah, for tomorrow, definitely going to be watching to see if the Russians actually make their move or not. And I think that's going to determine the pace of the market. And then, of course, we have Nvidia earnings after the bell tomorrow. And I think that'll determine the pace from there on out. So overall, good trading day. Trend model flip positive, which is good. We'll see what the dark index looks like when it prints today. All right, guys. Hope you all had an awesome session. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great night.